Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Balls in Your Face Marketing. Today I am joined by none other than Rob Balasabas. He is a brand evangelist at TubeBuddy. He's one of the original LinkedIn Livers, beta testers for that platform. He creates a lot of video content for YouTube, does live streaming on LinkedIn, on Facebook, etc. Rob, welcome to the show.
Julian, thank you so much, man. I appreciate being on here and hanging out with you. Just jamming on videos and everything.
Yeah, let's talk shop. I mean, I'm a bit of a video guy. That's certainly video production is something that I've been doing for several years. I was watching some of your tutorials on YouTube before the show. Some very slick stuff. Some good. Like, I mean, you take, in fact, your video production quality further than I do, just more because I do my stuff almost as a hobby, and I'm lazy. Otherwise, you know, when it's production, when it's real professional stuff, I'll usually hire videographers who get the gear and stuff like that. Also, I think another interesting kind of distinction between you and I is I'm more of a PC-based guy. You're a Mac guy, so I see that your tutorials are based for that. But really good-looking stuff, sounds good, etc. So why don't we start with, I guess a bit about your background in video production and what got you into using video as a marketing vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. So my video experience really started with my previous role at a company called Thinkific. So I was the social media and community manager for that company for a number of years. Thinkific is an online course platform. So we did a lot of videos. I mean, the video quality, I suppose, wasn't to the point of where it sort of is now, with the gear that I use and things like that. I was much more basic with, just using a webcam and, a headset, a wired headset as the microphone. And really that's it. I think at the sort of like near the end of my career there at Thinkific, I requested for a ring light that I would carry around at different places to create videos when I was doing interviews. So my setup was very basic, and I would just go live, do a lot of live streaming interviews, and every now and then there would be recorded interviews, tutorials, that sort of thing, where it would be the webcam, but then also sharing my screen to share what I'm doing with different software and platforms and tools. So yeah, that's sort of my setup. And then now with my new role at TubeBuddy, kind of stepped up with gear and cameras and microphones and things like that. Just because I think we are collaborating with creators that also have a really very mature setup, I suppose. Very very nice gear and really sharp. So trying to make sure that we are in sort of staying up to date with that.
Right. Why don't we tell people a bit about it, because I'm sure a lot of people may not know what TubeBuddy is, what it does. It's a fairly robust plug-in YouTube add-on that you can do. So why don't you give a quick overview about what that is and what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. So TubeBuddy is it's a YouTube certified partner. So we make it super easy for YouTube content creators to grow their channel. So we give them analytics that is easy to understand. I mean, there's so many analytics that people pay attention to. So we give you access to that in a really easy way to uncover opportunities for your channel, what kind of content, what kind of keywords, what kind of videos you can create, retention, like what kind of, which videos that you've uploaded are, people watching the longest and when they're falling off, when they're dropping off. You can do, A/B test and split test your thumbnails, right? Thumbnails is a huge thing now. That's really how people are getting more views. If you listen to all the experts on YouTube, it's all about thumbnails, eye-catching thumbnails. And so there's A/B testing thumbnails, canned responses for comments. I mean, there's just there's so many different tools within the platform that you can use to grow your channel. And so, there's an app, there's like a mobile app. There's also a Chrome extension that you install into your channel, and there's also a website platform with a bunch of other things. So yeah, and it's always evolving. I mean, our team is always building new features as YouTube, as you can imagine, always is changing. So we are always on top of that. So yeah, really cool tool for anybody looking to grow their YouTube channel.
Would you say that it's primarily a video SEO tool, like a video ranking tool above all else?
Yeah, I think so. For a lot of people, that's what they would use it for. For me, even personally, before I joined the TubeBuddy team, I was using TubeBuddy for when I was managing the Thinkific YouTube channel, and it was really I was using it to uncover keywords. Which keywords should I be using? Which tags? Is this the right description? Does it have enough of the keywords and the title in it and stuff like that? So it was more for that keyword research. But I really soon, once I dug into it, once I joined the team and really studied the platform, there are so many more things in there, to be more productive. And
yeah, there's a lot of automation tools as well. Exactly.
Tools.
If you want to put, thumbnails at the end and automatically, rather than having to go in and manually do that every single time. Yeah, so it's a very, I've played with it a little bit, and I found it to be pretty impressive, pretty robust tool for sure. Yeah. So we'll make sure that we put a link to where people can go and find that. And so you were one of the sort of early LinkedIn livers, one of the beta testers about that. Tell me a bit about why you're loving live streaming so much.
Yeah, I like live streaming. It's for me, it's the easiest form of content to create. It's just very natural, organic. There's no editing needed, right? So we were doing a lot of live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, and then I started really diving into LinkedIn as a channel, just for my own personal channel. And I really found that it was really easy to get a lot of engagement and organic reach on LinkedIn, especially with videos. This is about 18 months to 2 years ago when I started really diving into it. And then I would say about 8 months ago, a friend of mine, LinkedIn Live went, and it was released. And, there was a couple of beta testers that were essentially given access directly by LinkedIn. So you couldn't apply or anything, you couldn't get access. And so it was really cool. It was one of those things that I said, you know what, I wish that LinkedIn could get live streaming as a feature, because it's such an untapped channel. You know this, Julian, you're creating a lot of content on LinkedIn as well, and it's good. So it was like, they're missing that like interactive engagement, aspect that all the other platforms had. YouTube had it, Instagram has it, they have live streaming, Twitter, Periscope, and Facebook. They all have live streaming. So LinkedIn finally went out with the live stream feature, and it was really cool. And then a friend of mine said that, hey, you know what, they've opened the application. And so I applied, really forgot about it because I didn't get anything back for about a month. And so got a message in my inbox one day saying that I got access, and then had to learn how to get live, like how to get into LinkedIn Live, because unlike the other social platforms, you couldn't go live natively directly on LinkedIn. You had to use a third-party broadcasting tool. So I think at the time you had to use Switcher Studio and some other, Wirecast, and only a handful of different broadcasting tools were allowed to get access into LinkedIn Live. So so figured that out, got access, started going live, and I mean, it was awesome. There's so much engagement. I think there was such a pent-up demand for LinkedIn. For a long time, LinkedIn has been kind of, shoved aside as kind of a boring, dry social platform. It was too businessy and stiff and corporate. But I think, more videos, when they open up videos, native videos, uploading videos directly on the LinkedIn mobile app, a little while ago, and then now LinkedIn Live, I think it's really kind of opened up the platform to be more authentic for creators on there. There's a bit of this really subtle rise of I don't know what the word is, but like LinkedIn influencers, I suppose, are starting to naturally come up the ranks and build a name for themselves using LinkedIn. It's not quite there yet, but I do kind of imagine that in the next, I don't know, year or 2 years, the way that we see, Instagram influencers and YouTube influencers very quickly, like TikTok influencers, I think very quickly, because of the engagement and the views, the activity that's happening on LinkedIn with videos. I think very soon brands can't help but notice that, and then start doing deals. I mean, it's happening now, but I think it's just going to ramp up even more, just because people are paying attention to LinkedIn. So very excited about it. Very excited about it. I still continue to do it to this day. I do it once a week, maybe twice, depending. But yeah, I do it's called a new show. It's called the Creators Corner. And so it's in conjunction with TubeBuddy, and I interview different creators and just have a really good chat about how they're creating content and how they're monetizing it and how they're using that for their business.
Right, right. So yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right that the introduction of video on LinkedIn was the game changer for that platform. Prior to LinkedIn video, it really probably wasn't much more than sort of an online resume, right? And a recruitment platform. And as soon as video was introduced, it became this growth platform, and it has become almost like this. The way I describe it is sort of like this 24/7 kind of virtual business convention, right? Where your profile is essentially your booth, right? And every time you produce content, that is your keynote speech, or if anything, what I would say is more like, if you post an article, that's like a keynote speech, because that's like a bigger one that stays on your profile, so it's kind of there. Your posts are kind of more like you just pulled out a soapbox at the business convention and said, "Hey everybody, I just wanted to let you know," and you grab a few people's attention and you interact with a few people in the spot, and then it goes away. It's been a big joke, by the way, because I don't have LinkedIn Live. I applied months and months and months ago and never reapplied. People say, "Oh, you should just reapply, you'll get it." But I haven't been that keen on it. One, because I prefer an edited format. I find live. I think the thing that intimidates me about live is the whole idea, okay, well, now you got people engaging and chatting. If I was doing a show where there was sort of a partner who was paying attention to the chats coming in, and I could engage with people and every now and then just say, "Oh, okay, by the way, so Julian, there's this question, and they manage that, fine. But on my own, I'm like, that's just too much for me as one guy. I'm not going to do it. The other impression that I have, and tell me what your thoughts about this. So I was lucky, I would say, in that I started to produce a lot of video content for LinkedIn within that first year of them launching video. And a lot of people, even people who would come on, would then disappear into the ether. So in fact, the proportion of the population that was on LinkedIn that was producing regular video content was in fact very small. It was very easy, I would say, to have sort of to build up a following and a reputation on it, and some being recognized on the platform. My impression with LinkedIn Live, one of the drawbacks is that it seems that what it does is it gets you a lot of engagement right up front during the live, but then much more easily kind of disappears into the ether. Like once you're offline, it's gone, kind of a thing. Would you say that that's been your experience with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Julian. Yeah, I think I still have this conversation probably on a weekly basis, because there are a lot of people that will reach out. I created a LinkedIn article on how I got access to LinkedIn Live, and really didn't really expect. I just wanted to share it because people were starting to ask me a lot of questions about like, "Oh, how do you apply?" And I got declined or denied, and what's your advice? And so I created this article on how I did it. And a lot of people reach out and say like, "Yeah, I don't know, I'm like pretty discouraged. I've applied a couple times and I haven't really heard back anything." Sorry.
That's okay.
My son does this thing where he sets my alarm to the most oddest. It's like 12:03, like why would the alarm go off at 12:03? Anyways, sorry. So I always tell people, even myself, you are exactly right. Like you get a lot of engagement right when you go live for that 20-30 minutes. And then really the shelf life of that live stream is pretty much gone. Like it's pretty much zero after that, or within the next 12 hours. So it's a good tool to have engagement and be top of mind if you're doing it regularly. I do see a couple creators on LinkedIn that are doing it like multiple times each week, like 3 or 4 times a week. And it's kind of become, that's kind of one way to, I suppose, like stay top of mind, but it's not like a passive content, right? Like you have to actively do that and put time into it. That's why YouTube to me became very interesting, because I could take that content, put it on YouTube, and obviously it's searchable and the shelf life is longer. So I always tell people, don't be discouraged if you don't get LinkedIn Live. Doesn't really matter. Even me, like my native video content on LinkedIn does far better. I've got videos that I've shared 2 weeks ago that are still getting comments actively and getting more views and new audiences, seeing it. That's just, it's just the way that LinkedIn is working right now. So it's a nice thing. It's a nice shiny thing to have. I'm sure LinkedIn will improve the LinkedIn Live product so that the shelf life can be longer. I hope so anyway. But yeah, don't be discouraged. And I mean, if you're watching this and you're trying to get LinkedIn Live, and you're not getting it, don't worry. Just create native videos, create what you would create for LinkedIn Live. If you want to interview, then do the interviews recorded on Zoom, and then either put it on YouTube, put the full thing on YouTube, and then maybe take little snippets of it, micro content, and then upload the micro content on LinkedIn to push to the YouTube video. Because people aren't, depending on the interview, then if it's too long, people won't necessarily watch the whole thing on LinkedIn. It's just not the behavior that they're doing on LinkedIn. They're scrolling through. But quick punch videos, highlights, micro content from a longer form video that sits on YouTube would work. And that's kind of my strategy.
That's very similar to what has worked for me with this show. Yeah. It's usually, again, the interview is usually somewhere between 30 to minutes to an hour. It's that edited down version to a version that's under 10 minutes that I get onto LinkedIn. And like I said, I would say that is where the greatest engagement, that is where, that is the thing that has actually led to where I can say, not necessarily a direct line. In other words, I post this video and that therefore translates into X number of sales. But I can say that is, without a doubt, I could draw lines and say I would not have gotten this business opportunity or this deal had it not been for LinkedIn. And then the other thing, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's funny that, I said it's other people who have fueled this conspiracy as to why does Julian not have LinkedIn Live, right? Because, there's certain, they're saying, well, how does these other people do? And you've been producing content on LinkedIn forever. But like I said, I have I think part of it is maybe they know I don't want it. I guess I don't want that bad, precisely for what you said. I think that one, posting the videos, two is that there are so many other forms of content and you should really exploit all, right? Mm-hmm. Like the thing is unfortunately, there's no matter who your target audience is, they don't necessarily all fall into the same preference of media consumption. So even though they might check off all of your boxes in terms of, yes, this is the type of person who might buy from me, some of those people will prefer to read. Some of them just like posts. Some of them like articles. Some of them prefer video, etc. So I just say, whatever moves you in the moment, go with it. And I agree with what you're saying about micro content. That derives from the long form, because this is the thing that people have been saying for a lot of years with video. All your videos should be under a minute. 30 seconds is the ideal time. Well, it depends on the purpose, but what I see, what I get, and what I gather, I think, is that long form is in fact the underappreciated thing that people really do crave for, provided that you're providing good content and a genuine conversation where they can get some real valid information out of it. If you prove to people, and yes, sometimes it's those short videos that draw them in, mm-hmm. but once they say, oh, okay, I like what this guy's saying, then they will sit and listen to you for maybe 30 minutes or an hour, or maybe they'll only listen to the first 30 of that hour. But as I try to point out, look at guys like Joe Rogan, right? Yeah. For people who said, we're telling him from the early days, you got to shorten this stuff up. No one's going to listen to you for 2 hours. And now he's got probably the biggest podcast in the world.
Oh, it's crazy.
Right.
I know. Like hours, like his episodes
2-3
are
hours.
Yeah.
2-3 hours.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
right, because what happens is a couple of things is, he'll say is that, you're not really even getting into a real conversation up until the first 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just getting into like the groove at that point in terms of, getting an idea of how the other person thinks, articulates, like, so it takes a while just to get there. And this is what has always been a philosophy of my show is I refuse to just say, okay, I'm going to prepare a list of 10 questions or the same questions for every single guest and then just go through them all. It's so boring. It's so dry. I always say that I would just want to have a conversation with people, because if it's a good conversation, then that's like a journey, and that is entertaining because then the viewer gets to kind of come along for the ride.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's why it's really smart too, I think first what you mentioned there is that try all the different mediums. For me, like I love video, and I think a lot of people know me for video creation and interviews and live streams and stuff. But I think still to this day, my most engaged, like viewed, reached post on LinkedIn is a picture. It's a picture of, it could be the picture. It's a picture of my, when I left my last day at Thinkific, they got me a cake. And then it just says like, all the best, Rob. And that picture had the most, like it still has the most views and reach and likes and comments and stuff. Before that, it was a document. So a lot of people don't even know that you could do documents, which is kind of like a little like carousel.
Yeah.
Like on Instagram, there's like these carousel posts you slide.
Yeah, you can upload a PowerPoint and it'll slide.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the most, before that picture of the cake, that was the most viewed and reached, post on LinkedIn. Not videos, none of that stuff. So, for a lot of people, it could be videos. I mean, I think there's a bit of juice that they put on videos for LinkedIn. They like it because they're trying to push themselves as a platform, as a place for video creators, to kind of draw people in from Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Like LinkedIn wants video creators, but it doesn't have to be, so if you have a good picture and also captions, like copywriting is so important. I'm learning this now. I didn't really put too much weight on. It's huge. Like I didn't really put too much weight on it just because I am a visual person and I'm not really good with writing. That's why I created videos. That's why I love, gravitate to videos. But it's so important. I'm trying to study copywriting more, and specifically for social, where there's a structure, right? Like on LinkedIn, people only see the first 3 lines. So those first 3 lines needs to be really compelling. And I now see, there's a couple guys out there that I pay attention to, and I see the format that they're putting, right? Like that. And it's basically like the top headline. There's a big question that's very like almost controversial and draws you in. Yeah. So this really well. And so there's so much.
I've done a good job provoking.
Yeah.
I think I've done a really good job provoking people.
So there's so many things. This is the thing about, being a content creator and being a marketer, is that it's always an evolving learning journey. You think you know it, and then you're like, oh man,
it's been transformed. It's been transformed, man. I mean, I've been in this industry for 20 years. I started in print advertising. The web was next to nothing when I started. Social media in particular has really transformed it. YouTube, I say this again, like people cannot underestimate how transformational YouTube is. And I equate it with something similar to the printing press, right? I mean, like imagine it then, like the printing press already had a profound impact on global literacy, publishing, like how, the existence of newspapers, magazines, and journals would not have existed had it not been for that technological revolution. Well, imagine now if that was something that anybody could buy for pennies and fit into their pocket kind of thing. Well, that's what YouTube is. You are now a publisher, a producer. The stats of what is absorbed, consumed on the web is video, something like 70 to 80% at this point in time. So it's absolutely, video itself is transformative, and social and so on. It's a new game, and it's constantly changing. It's changing so fast that nobody can really keep up, to be honest.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's also one of those things that even myself, when I started to create more content on YouTube, YouTube is a long game. Like I think, it's something that you need to decide that you're going to be really consistent. I've got a Facebook group, and one of the things we talk about is always YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube content creators there. And one lady was saying, you know what, I haven't uploaded in a while. Like, why is anybody else sort of like plateauing on their new subscribers? Because and then somebody's like, well, how often do you upload? And she said, well, I did take like 6 months off a little while ago where I didn't start. And so that was really evident. So there's a bunch of experts in my group when it comes to YouTube, and they said like, hey, if you take a break from content creating, then YouTube sort of like takes away a lot of the weight off your channel, and they stop promoting your channel. So consistency is one of those things. So it's a long play, but it is still that one of the people. A lot of people will say like, well, there's so many creators on it already. Like, I'm new, so do I even have a chance? And
Mm,
I think the way that YouTube works is that their job is to serve the best content. They they serve the best content to the person watching, right? So they serve videos to the viewer and not viewers to the video, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So it's an open game, right? So if you can create a better LinkedIn tutorial than whoever is ranking on the first page of LinkedIn tutorial as a keyword, then you're going to make your way up there, right?
Yeah.
Because people are looking at your videos, they're watching the whole thing, they're watching it for longer, you're more relevant, you're more up to date, right? So it's an organic place where videos go move up and down ranks. And so it is, like you said, like it is like the printing press.
Yeah.
you know
When
um
you even if you've got a pre-recorded video that you've pre-edited and so forth, do you still live stream it when you to YouTube, or do you upload?
I upload. Yeah, I've
Hmm.
I've tested it. There was actually one that I uploaded today that I was thinking about doing. They call it on YouTube. It's called a premiere,
Yeah.
right? So you can premiere a video. So basically, you upload it, you put all your tags and title and stuff, thumbnail, all that stuff, and then you say premiere it tomorrow, and then
Hmm.
so it'll serve it up to your audience and say Rob is going to premiere this video
Yeah.
tomorrow. I was thinking about doing that, but no, for the most part, it's just upload. I try to do it. I try to upload 2 videos a week,
Hmm.
and always on Tuesdays or Thursdays. Sometimes it's Tuesdays or Fridays or Mondays and Thursdays, but within the week. And I try to separate them by at least 2 days, 2 to 3 days between each video. And yeah, that's usually how I do it. Now, live stream's tricky on YouTube. This is probably a longer conversation, but for me, I'll do a live stream. So when I do a LinkedIn live, I use a tool called StreamYard when I go live. And so within StreamYard, you can natively multi-stream to all the channels: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. When I finish the live though, I unlist the YouTube video, just because I feel like, from what I'm seeing, like it's not like a live video on YouTube is not it doesn't have as much success as an uploaded,
Hmm.
edited video, right?
Right.
Because when somebody watches it on the replay, if they search it and they see it, even if they end up watching it, it's not punchy enough like an edited,
Yeah.
tutorial video, or, like really staged video. So I'll use it for the views, and I'll use it for the engagement during the live, but after that I'll unlist that video, not delete it, but I'll just like unlist that video from my channel, so you won't see
Right.
it publicly. Yeah.
Right. So what I'm yet to have done is, what you're referring to is Premiere.
Mhm.
And whether there's any difference in the results between that and live streaming an edited version, right? So what I used to do, and certainly in 2017 and 18 is where I was certainly having probably the greatest success at ranking YouTube videos.
Mhm.
And I wrote a few articles anybody can go and find. I've got some tutorials where I show a bit of like the sort of methodology and techniques that was using. One of it was to live stream it, but again, it wasn't the Premiere. They didn't even have Premiere at the time. I was using a software like Wirecast and so forth. So again, it was edited. So it had that punchiness, that quality. The live allowed you to sort of jump the queue on a certain, for certain key phrases, basically. Because it was a new event, YouTube would kind of say, oh, okay, it's a brand new video. No one's ever seen this before. You're up on the ranks. Now, if you didn't do good SEO on your page with your keywords and your titles and everything like that, you would be likely to lose that rank once the live was over. But it allowed you to jump, and then if you actually had good SEO, you could hold it pretty well. And this is where TubeBuddy again is good for finding those keywords. But I guess where it was good was I was good at, one was getting good long tail titles at the top, and then two was using my description for longer sentences that actually were cut and pasted of other high ranking videos that would create an association with them. That's still kind of working for me, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's very smart. Yeah, I mean, there's so much strategy that needs to go into it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and these things are that, you know, exactly. These are things, some of these sort of gain the algorithm to an extent, but it's really just a matter of where they're putting their emphasis and how they, you know, and those things come and go. But some of those, well, like some things will never change. So, you know, those are some of the things that work well for me. I've been asked this, so let me throw it to you. So, you know, what do you see as, do you see have any predictions in terms of online video for this year? Anything that we should be looking out for, changes that you're anticipating? What's going to be new?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of trends with people repurposing. I think this is something that, you know, whether we want to admit it or not, I think a lot of people kind of see what Gary Vee is doing, right? Like that kind of, you know, where he is everywhere and people have studied it and there's whole articles and stuff about it. But, you know, creating one piece of content and then repurposing that for other channels, right? And being really mindful of that channel, right? So if that channel is not meant for long content, you know, then how do you make your long content and taking it into, say, Instagram or Instagram story, you know, and how do you leverage all those? So I feel like that is a thing that a lot of people are trying to accomplish. It's a little hard, but I do see services popping up in that space where it is all about repurposing. So it's like, hey, send me your YouTube video and I'll, you know, our company or our service will chop it up into different micro content for all your channels, Facebook, podcast interviews, or your podcast, you know, IGTV, all that stuff, you know, with the thumbnails ready and all that. So I think that's one. People want to be more, you know, sort of like everywhere, you know, at scale, which without help is going to be really difficult.
It's very difficult unless you're Gary Vee and you have that machinery behind you to do it. It is very difficult. It's another reason, by the way, that I love YouTube, and this is another one that why I've chose to use YouTube as my central repository for my videos, is that actually I found that it allowed me to do precisely that. And I, again, same thing, I've got a video tutorial that says how I connected my YouTube channel to both my website through FeedBurner and some other things. Now it's automatically connected to Stitcher and iTunes. So when I upload a video to YouTube, it automatically goes onto my episodes page on my website. It automatically gets converted into an audio podcast and posted onto iTunes and Stitcher as audio only podcasts. It tweets out that there's a new version on my Twitter account, that there's a new episode available. So just by uploading one video, I've now actually at least got a few platforms covered, including my own website. So as maintenance goes, again, I find YouTube is easily one of the best. And it's, you know, it's the #2 search engine, right? After Google.
Yeah,
owned by Google, right? So, you know, it's big. It's and it's still early days. I would say exactly. Anybody, like, to your question or point earlier about people saying, you know, oh, is it too crowded? No. These are early days still.
Yeah, totally, totally. I mean, yeah. So I think being everywhere, I think that's it. And then also, I think there's more and more communities. So even YouTubers themselves, I think I'm seeing a lot of people building communities. And I think that's something that as we become this super fast, everything is crazy fast nowadays with content and people pumping out one new video each day or every couple of days. I think people are looking for a place to belong. And so I think communities, whether that's Facebook groups or other places, Slack, whatever it is, there's other platforms, Mighty Networks and Vanilla Forums. I'm seeing more and more of that. So I think there's going to be a bit of a rise of, content creators creating content, but also looking to build communities around themselves or their brand. And even big brands, I mean, even big SaaS companies and other brands out there, kind of collecting all of their users and clients into a common place where they can, connect and collaborate and all that stuff. So yeah, so I think more content, more places. There's services out there that are popping up that I'm seeing, and then I think community, however that kind of transforms, is something that a lot of brands and content creators are really focusing on, I think, this year. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great, Rob. So tell me, just for the viewers, how can they find you? Where's the best place to go and look you up? I'll certainly put links above or below to how people can connect with you on LinkedIn and elsewhere. But why don't you just quickly let us know where is the best way to find you?
Yeah. Thanks, Julian. I mean, I really appreciate the time and the invitation for hanging out with you and talking all about this stuff. And I mean, I can talk about this stuff all day, but yeah, if anybody wants to connect with me, I am more than happy to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can just copy and paste my name. I've got a kind of a long last name. So just copy and paste it into LinkedIn, connect with me, shoot me a message. Let me know that you listened in on this episode. Or you can also find me on YouTube. My personal channel is just Social Media Club. Or again, if you look up my name, you'll find me. And yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Just search my name, you'll find me there. And then and then you can also just connect with me. I'm behind the scenes on the TubeBuddy channels as well. So anywhere TubeBuddy, you'll find me there too.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you.